To bring you more now on a huge reform to voting in the UK after it was announced that 16 and 17-year-olds will now be able to have their say in all UK elections. For more on this, we're joined by Quilter-Pinner, Executive Director at IPPR. Thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. First of all, your reaction to this announcement.
I think this is an incredibly important change that the government is bringing in. It could be the biggest democratic reform since 1969, empowering potentially up to 9.5 million more people to vote. That's, yes, of course, young people, 16 and 17-year-olds, but also making it easier for us all to vote by lowering the barrier to entry, making it easier to register to vote. And this is incredibly important because we know that so many people are not turning out at the ballot box at the election. People aren't having their say. They don't feel that their vote counts. And so what this bill will do is try and address some of those inequalities, address some of those barriers to people turning out to vote and having their say in our society.
I mean, you mentioned a lot of people feel that their vote doesn't count. There's various issues. I mean, sort of automatic access to voting is one thing, but focusing on younger voters, how does that change anything, giving 16 and 17-year-olds the right to vote?
Well, I mean, first of all, 16 and 17-year-olds, they can serve in the military, they can get a job and then pay their taxes. They should have a vote in a stake in society. We also want to see a culture of young people voting. At the moment, young people turn out less than older people. I think if we can allow people to vote early, whilst they're still hopefully in school where we have civic and political education, what it will do is create a norm for people to vote. It will support them to make informed decisions and kind of refresh our democracy with people turning away from voting at record numbers. We need to reinvigorate democracy, and this is exactly what this bill will do.
I mean, you mentioned we'll reinvigorate democracy. The cynical among us might think that young people tend to, not always by and large, but tend to vote more to the left, and that may have a part to play in this. But how do you think, again, that doing this will actually give people a reason to vote, whether they're young or not? Because a lot of the issues that turn people off politics aren't going to be resolved by making voting easier and more accessible to more people.
Well, firstly, where we have seen this introduced in places like Scotland, we have seen that 16, 17-year-olds vote at higher rates than slightly older generations and continue to turn out in future elections at higher rates because of that change. So I think there is evidence this works in terms of increasing turnout. I don't think this is a case of this government wanting groups of voters who are more likely to vote for them to turn out. The evidence is not at all clear that 16, 17-year-olds are more likely to vote to the left. If you look across Europe, what we're seeing actually is voters, young voters increasingly turning out to the populist right. So I think this is not about gerrymandering. This is about making sure that we create opportunities for young people to shape the future, shape their future, and shape the politics that will ultimately determine how their opportunities in their life.
I mean, at the heart of this, as you mentioned, it's engaging the electorate, isn't it? And one of the things that some people think might be considered is compulsory voting. So whether we look at voting as a privilege or whether it's an obligation, I'm wondering whether you think this might eventually happen and whether you think it should.
I think there are obviously countries that have compulsory voting. They often have, they do have higher turnout because obviously there's a compulsory nature to it. I don't think the long-term solution is forcing people to vote. I think the long-term solution is both making it as easy as possible for people to vote, which is exactly what some of these changes like automatic voter registration do, and also making sure that people feel that when they do vote, it makes a difference, which is about ensuring that people's votes count, that their voice is heard, and that when people turn out to vote, things change. And I think one of the things that's clear at the moment is older people turn out much more at elections, and they do in fact get more out of our democracy than younger people. We saw that with the rebellion that occurred around, for example, the winter fuel payment. That is partly because older people turn out to vote, they're more vocal, and they end up getting policies that are more attuned to their needs. If young people can turn out to vote more, and this change will help that happen, what we hope we'll see is our democracy becomes more responsive to the concerns of younger people and deals with the issues that younger people face more effectively than we see at the moment.
It'll be interesting to see what the impact is at the ballot box when the time comes. For the moment, Harry Quilter-Pinner, Executive Director at the IPPR. Sir, thank you.
Thank you.